it's important to take it because you need to know where you are, but then it's also important so that you can understand the other profiles so that we can quickly analyze, where a client, a potential referral partner, just anybody that you want to be in relationship with, it's important to analyze where they are so that you know how to mirror match them, so that we know how to speak their language.
Hey friends, I'm Rosemary Lewis, your homegirl, and I'm so excited that you are here. I do not care what it looks like on Instagram or HGTV. This whole being a realtor thing is not for the faint at heart. In 2017, I quit my job as a teacher to follow my real estate dreams and quickly found myself overwhelmed and struggling. Fast forward to today. Not only have I been recognized as one of the leaders in our industry, I have actually grown a business that I absolutely love. I don't care if you're a brand new agent trying to figure out how to get started or a veteran feeling overwhelmed and just stuck. I was just like you and I totally get it. Many times I wish there was someone that I could just talk to about all the challenges I was facing. And that is why I created this space just for you. Like best friends do, I'm giving you all the tea related to navigating and thriving in these real estate streets. If I can do it, guess what? That's proof that you can too. Everything's better with friends, so let's succeed together. Welcome to the Real Estate Bestie Podcast.
Well, hello there, besties. Welcome to episode number 80. And we today are going to be talking about something that I think is a game changer, not only in business and in life. That is the DISC profile and understanding the DISC. But before I get into it, y'all, first of all, I got to tell you a quick story about something totally random that happened to me today. But before I even do that, I have to say, besties, happy birthday. I'm going to tell you happy first birthday again, because last week we celebrated Real Estate Bestie turning 1 year old. So for 1 year straight, y'all, we have been at this Real Estate Bestie thing. We have been growing our community. And I have to tell you that I am just so crazy overwhelmed with how much love you all have shown me, how much love you've shown the podcast, and how much love you have shown each other. And we actually had an opportunity to host a Bestie birthday bash last week here in Plano, Texas. And it was absolutely amazing. Like, go check out my Instagram so that you can see the different reels and the different photos from the event. But it was truly, truly amazing just to be in a room full of people, women who are all like, we're all working together for a common goal. And, community is way better than competition. And I am so grateful for all of you. And I actually was just looking at our podcast reviews, and this review from Kishana, it just sums it all up. She says, if you haven't joined, what are you doing? She said, Real Estate Bestie is what every woman needs, especially when you're just starting out in this business. This podcast is helping me so much in listening to Real Estate Besties. I feel like I actually have a bestie, and joining the Facebook group makes me feel like I'm not alone starting out in this journey. Girl, that literally, as I think about the messaging and like what we want to convey here, it's that, entrepreneurship, being a real estate agent in any market, it just can feel very lonely. And we want to create space where you know that you belong, right? Where we can come to get great information, where we can come to collaborate, where we can meet new people. And just, it's one thing for us to do it online, but it's another thing for us to do it in person. So shout out to everyone who was able to come to the birthday bash. It was absolutely amazing. And y'all know we are gearing up for our retreat in April, where we are all really going to be able to just hammer it in and just have such amazing time together over those 2 days. So I'm excited. Now, before I get into the DISC, and this kind of goes into the DISC or a little bit. So on the day that I'm recording this, y'all, this is why you got to stay woke. And I'm just telling y'all because y'all my friends, and friends help each other because we cannot get caught slipping. So I am recording this episode on Labor Day. Okay. So it is a banking holiday. So I get a call, y'all, from a scam likely number. And the guy was like, hey, this is such and such from JP Morgan Chase, right? And he answers the phone. When I answer the phone, he's like, hey, Rosemary. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Hi, this is, whoever from JP Morgan Chase. So first of all, you could hear like 100, like you could tell it's like a little swap, a little like fraud center going on, because first of all, JP Morgan Chase is not about to call me with all 100 people in the background I can hear talking. And then second of all, I'm like, dog, if you are going to be a scammer, at least be a smart one, okay? And I am not telling anybody out here to be a scammer, but like, don't act like I'm stupid. So I picked, when he says he's such and such from JP Morgan Chase, I responded and I said, hey, you do understand that today is a banking holiday, right? So not only are you not from JP Morgan Chase, but I'm fully aware that you are scamming me. Like, this is a scam call. Why are you doing it? And he said, oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am. Thank you for your time, and hung up. So I don't know if I should be, no, I'm not flattered, because like, you don't have nothing else to do. Use your skills for something else. But what's funny is that based on his response, y'all, I was like, he ain't gonna last long in this scammer world, because I can already tell where he is on the disc profile. He is a people person. So, he's just not gonna last long. So I'm telling you, number one, so that y'all can stay woke. Like, if the math ain't math, then like, do not give anybody your information over the phone. If you hang up, be like, hey, you from Chase? Okay, I'm gonna hang up. I'm gonna call you right back. And I'm gonna call the number on the back of my credit card. I'm not gonna call this number you called, because they be out here trying to get us. So stay woke. Don't be getting these scam calls. But then also, it's interesting, every time I receive calls from cold callers, whether it's scam likely or not, I think about, okay, what is their personality type? And let's talk about what I mean with that. So when I started out, one of the most valuable trainings that I ever did as a real estate agent was a DISC training. And when I say DISC, I'm saying DISC. Okay. And I'm going to go into it a little bit deeper. So I attended, it was like one of those deals where like the title company has, or not the title company, either the title company or mortgage company, they had some expert come in, and the expert is going to talk about something. And, I was going to these classes, right? I was actually going to these classes more than I was actually learning real estate or even working deals and, trying to prospect. I digress there. But this one was actually worth my time, right? And this training claimed that it was going to teach you the secret of learning different personality profiles that would assist you as you sold. And I came in just very, very curious on what that meant, because I'd done things like read something like the 5 love languages, a little bit familiar with Enneagram, and just really understanding. And I think that this is one of the biggest parts about not only selling, but if you are in relationship with people, is understanding that, everybody comes with their own, not only their opinions, but just the way that we're wired, right? The way that I am wired may be very different than the way that you are wired, and the way that, my husband is wired is very different from me. And sometimes when we don't understand those differences or embrace them, I'm not saying that you have to be the exact same as a person, but when we don't understand those differences, it makes it very difficult for us to interact with someone who is different than us. And we could write a whole, that's probably why our country is jacked up, because we're just not as understanding for people who just think differently, look differently, act differently than us. But it definitely can affect the way we show up in this business when we, number one, don't understand the differences that people bring, and also understand how to work with people who may be wired a little differently. What the DISC profile does is that it helps you to determine, number one, where you fall on the DISC, like where are your strengths in terms of personality style. And then the more you study it, you're able to begin to assess where other people are, and then it can help you communicate differently with them. So I just want to start off by saying I am by no means what I would consider like a DISC expert. I haven't taken any formal trainings or anything like that in terms of like being certified in teaching the DISC. But ever since that training that I went to initially, I just dove deeper, and I am always just in search of more knowledge of how the DISC how understanding where I am and where other people are on the disc, how I can serve them better. So I just want to give you like a brief overview, and then we'll link to this episode to like a free test where you can take your own disc profile. One thing I'll tell you about the free test that we're going to link to is that as soon as you get your results, you want to screenshot it because you won't be able to go back to it for free. So I just want to point that out there. But you're going to be able to take your own test, and then we'll link to some other just resources to help you understand disc and sell into the disc. But let me go over just pretty much what the different areas are, right? And 9 times out of 10, most people score higher in 2 areas, and then they go lower in 2 areas, right? And that's kind of how you determine how you interact with them. So the first one, the D in disc, it stands for dominance, okay? So somebody who is a D on the disc, where their D is higher, their priorities are getting immediate results. They love taking action. They love challenging themselves and others. A lot of times they are motivated by power and authority, competition, winning, and success, right? They're like boom, 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 bam, bam, bam. So when I think of somebody who is a high D, y'all, I think of my husband, Corey, okay? And let me tell you why Corey is a high D, and you tell me if you know somebody like this, is that Corey is very fast paced. And once he makes up his mind, and it does not take him a long time to make up his mind, right? A lot of times if you present an opportunity and if it makes sense in his head, he does not need to know all the details. He is ready to go, right? He can be very fast paced. He can seem very forward, right? If you meet Corey, and he can feel a little introverted. Well, I think he's growing out of his introverted self, but like he just want to get right to it, right? So you know how if you meet somebody, let's just say you meet somebody and you say, hey, we need to talk about something. If you meet Corey and say, hey, I need to talk about something, and you come to the table and you're thinking you're going to have a whole lot of small talk, Corey's going to jump right into it. Okay, you brought me here today. What's up? What's going on? What are we doing? Because he wants to get to the thing, and he is a driver. That's when the people that are high Ds, they are a driver, and they can be so focused on that end result that sometimes it feels like they lack empathy. And it's not necessarily that they are not empathetic or they don't care about people, but their natural default is to get to the result, okay? And when you are dealing with someone, or if you yourself are someone who may be a higher D, like it's not gonna, like you don't need 50 samples to decide what you eating at the wedding, right? Okay, just bring me out a chocolate cake. It tastes cool. Okay, let's move on to the next decision, right? So these people get frustrated by sometimes a lot of small talk, indecisiveness. Like they want you to like keep it moving, and they want you to get results. Like, tell me how you're going to get results. I don't need to know every which way that you're going to do to get my house sold. I just need to know, okay, what happened? What was the results of this? What was the results of that? What's the bottom line? Okay, either we're going to move forward or we're not. Y'all hear me in the background snapping because that is what you will get with like a high D person. The challenge sometimes though is if you are not high D, and we're going to talk about some of these other profiles, a person that is high D may feel intimidating to you. Before I got into real estate, Ds used to scare me, right? Because Ds, they're focused, they know what they want. It feels, if it can feel like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Not quite, but that's just kind of how it can feel sometimes. And for me, I kind of felt like I wore my heart on my sleeve, and it just felt overwhelming for me to be around a D. The funny thing is that the longer that I've been in business, I have, like, when I test for disc, I am really much higher on the D scale than I used to be. But I do think that comes with, like, once you experience competence in an area, that's where high D-ness can come out. So really check that out, because it's definitely something to know. And once you get to understand a high D operates, either number one, you're a high D too. So they're like, these are my people. Okay, I get you. But I don't know, a couple D's can clash because everybody want to be the chief when you're high D's. Or if you're wondering like, okay, why is my kid or my husband or this person, like, they can just seem so demanding. It's not because they're trying to be a jerk. It's just because they are high on the dominant scale. Okay, so then here's the next one, the I in disc. It stands for influence. Okay. So this person, someone who is in high I, they are expressive, they're enthusiastic, they love to take action, they are encouraging, they are collaborators, they're motivated by social recognition, they love a good old group activity, they're friendly, and they are such relationship builders. Okay. Now, here's what they fear, someone who is a high I. They fear social rejection. They don't want disapproval, right? They want to be a people pleaser. They fear being ignored or a loss of influence, right? They want everybody to feel good. They want to bring people together. And when it feels like, I'm disappointing someone, a high I struggles with that. A lot of times, not all the times, a lot of times, high I people present like extroverts. Not always, because I know some people who are high on the I sky and they're not extroverts. But the biggest thing is like they're people pleasers. And I'm going to let you know right now, I am a high I. I am definitely the type of person that I want everyone to feel welcome. I want everyone to feel good. I wear my heart on my sleeve sometimes. So, if it feels like, everyone, like, I'm even thinking back to the birthday party last week. I'm like, come on, like, everyone get your energy up. Like, I want to ensure that people are having a good time and having a good experience, right? And you may have noticed that even with our podcast. So when you think about someone who is in high I, if you're not a high I, like, these type of people will drain you because, they normally, like, if you call them, this is that client that when you call, you just need to call her and you just need to tell her, hey, we're going to meet at the first house at 9:00. And she's going to say, hello, how are you doing? And she's going to tell you about everything. She's going to tell you how pretty you look yesterday. And she's going to ask you how your friends and them doing, your mama doing, your cousins, like all of, like, she's going to be a little squirrel going off on a tangent or just being super, super, super personable. And these are the people that, like, you have to sometimes reel them back into the business, right? Reel them back into the business of what we are coming to do. Not that it's a negative thing that you have to do that, but definitely, like, if you're the type of person who's like a wham bam and not acknowledging like the environment, not acknowledging people around you, a high I may take issue with that, right? They may feel some sort of way like, ooh, like, did you notice that she came in? She didn't even say anything. She just automatically started asking me X, Y, and Z instead of speaking and things like that. So high I's are definitely one that we need to watch out for. And if you are a high I, here is one thing that I have learned when I first started out. I never forget, I was role playing with a friend on my first team. And when she gave me my feedback for role playing, because her personality profile is different, and during our role play session, she was very much herself. And she just said, Rosemary, you have to understand that everybody is not your friend. So the profile that she was demonstrating was more like a D or more like a C. I'm going to get into it. Someone who's a little bit more analytical. When I'm spending 100 minutes or too long on small talk, I'm going to lose that person and I'm not going to be able to engage with them because I'm so focused on being friendly. So what we have to learn, if you are high I and you are all about like people, sometimes we have to assess people's response to us and be able to establish rapport even if they are not quite as energetic as we are, if that makes sense. So definitely know about the high I. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is the S in this. So remember, we did dominance, we did influence. Now we are going to talk about steadiness, okay? So someone who is S, like their S is higher, they are loyal, okay? Almost loyal to a fault. But what this says is their priorities are giving support. They like to maintain stability. They enjoy collaboration, but this person, they really don't want to rock the boat, right? They are motivated by stable environments. They're also motivated like when you sincerely appreciate them, and then they want to help. They definitely want to help, but this is that person where, you know what, I just don't know. Like, this is my forever home. And, even though clearly the house doesn't fit them, but they mom and them stayed in their house for 45 years. And, she just, it's just so hard to make decisions because they don't want to make a high S doesn't want to make the wrong decision. Okay. So what they fear is loss of stability. They fear change, they fear the loss of harmony, and they definitely don't want to offend others. But someone who is an S, they may actually move at a slower pace because they don't want to make the wrong decision. Like, even if the situation that they're in isn't comfortable for them, they know what to expect and they almost want to stay where they expect instead of doing something that's going to scare them. When I think of a high S, y'all, I think of, oh my goodness, I can probably think of so many teachers that I used to teach with that clearly, like teaching probably was no longer a good fit for them, right? But because they, been teaching fourth grade for 40 years and, now that we don't do textbooks like this anymore, like things like that stress them out because they just don't want to rock the boat, right? Or, even though this house isn't ideal or this job isn't ideal or whatever, I kind of want S person, maybe the type of person that says, I kind of want to get into real estate. I'm interested in it, but it just makes me so nervous just to think about starting over at this age or in this city or at this time. So it's kind of one of those people that almost talk themselves out of something and they have to feel very confident. Hear me out. An S person has to feel very confident in their decision before making it. And if we try to speed them up before they're ready, then they likely will repel and we will not be able to establish rapport with them. Now, I'm going to tell you that sometimes I think that if you are a D, if you're a driver, someone who is an S, that's going to be a little bit of a struggle for you because you're ready for immediate results. You ready, you don't need a lot of details. A S person needs a little bit more details to help make a good decision. And I bet you a lot of Ds are married to S's because opposites attract. But the beautiful thing though, is that someone who is a high S, they are loyal, right? This is going to be that person that, you gain their confidence, you gain their trust as their real estate agent or their friend or their whatever. They are going to rock with you unless you give them a reason not to trust you any further. So you're going to notice that they are a team player, that they're calm, that they're good listeners, that they show humility, right? But the problem is that they have a tendency to avoid change and that indecisiveness, right? So if you are talking to somebody about buying or selling and it just seems like they are just struggling because they don't want to make the bad one. I don't know, this person said I should do this or this person, you can even hear kind of just that anxiety and hesitation in their voices. Understanding how an S operates will help you to interact with them a little bit better. Okay, here's the next one. C. Okay. I'm going to say this word wrong, but someone who is a C is their conscientiousness. I think I said it right. Conscientiousness. They are going to be the more analytical person, the person that needs details, right? The person where the math has to math. This has to make sense. Okay, I need you to walk me through those strategies again because they have a more analytical brain. And this more analytical brain it's not that they can't make a quick decision because they can, but they have to have all of the details, right? So the S person has to feel good about the details, right? The C person is that person who they're just more analytical. If the details, if the numbers make sense, if it just makes sense, then they're going to be ready to make a decision. The challenge with the C is that sometimes because they need all of the information to be ready and comfortable to move forward or not, sometimes the questioning that a C may have, think about a kid. Okay, well, why is this like this? Why is it like that? Okay, mommy, but you said we were going to do this. If you change the rules on a C or change the structure of what you say you were going to do, they are going to be less able to adapt, not because they like the steadiness a S does, but more because you are changing the script in the program and we have to follow the rules. We have to follow the program. So when I'm looking at the priorities of a C, they want to ensure accuracy, they want to maintain stability, and they're going to challenge your assumptions, right? Well, don't tell me what you think, tell me what the market says, right? So when you are working with somebody who is a C, definitely be able to speak to present and speak to data, because that will be the make or break. And if for whatever reason you're unable to speak to or present data, that is where the distrust may come with somebody who is a C, because again, they need all of the information. They are motivated by opportunities to use their expertise or to gain more knowledge. And they're also going to pay attention to quality, right? They want to make sure, like, hey, was this done well? What was your approach? And all of these things like that. Some fears that a C person has is criticism, and they also don't want to be wrong, right? They want to be right because, again, accuracy is important. And then this is what you're going to notice about someone who is a high C. Their attention to precision, they're going to analyze things, and they might be skeptical. Okay. Like, I don't know. You said that, this would work, but like you have to prove it, right? You're guilty until proven innocent sometimes with someone who is a high C, because they're going to be skeptical if there is not proof of your method, okay? And then this person may also come across as being a little bit more reserved and quiet. And they're quiet because, again, leaning towards the data. We don't have to do all that small talk, right? When I first got into real estate, y'all know I'm a high I. This C personality was probably the most difficult personality for me to engage with, because remember, I'm a people pleaser, right? I wear my heart on my sleeves. I'm a relationship builder. And sometimes for someone who is super analytical, it just felt like a nut that I couldn't crack, because I just want everybody, like, I'm like Roddy King. Can we all just get along? But like that C person, they need the details, and those details that they need, to me, it felt like challenging, or like I was always looking to earn my respect from a client who was just wired in that way. And what I found out is that, they weren't just challenging me to challenge me, but I needed to make sure that I am presenting data and giving information and updates in a way that, again, they can have all of the details to help them feel comfortable with the way things are going, or to make a decision if a decision needed to be made. But I'll let you know, until I started to study these different personality profiles, first word that comes to mind is intimidation, right? Anybody who was like me, yeah, we cool. We're homies, right? We vibe. I can relate to you. You're somebody who I would want to be my friend. But when I was encountered with these other personalities, either it stressed me out because it took you so long to make a decision, or I felt like you were too flaky if you were an S, or if you were a C, it felt like you were always challenging me. It took a while for me to understand that people were not just being difficult, but they were just responding to the way that they were being wired. So how can this help you? Okay. I know this was like a little drive-by training on the disc, or a little conversation, but how can understanding the disc help you? The first thing is, I really want us to understand where you are on the disc profile. And based on what I was just explaining, you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, I know that I'm an I, or I know that I'm a this. Like Rosemary, I'll tell you, I kind of flip. I am an ID or a DI. My dominance tends to lead in more work settings, and in more social settings, my I tends to lead. So I flop. But I'm telling you, like, it's different, because the more I become comfortable in this space in real estate and all of the different things that I'm doing, I did not come in feeling dominant, right? I didn't come in leading with that. I actually came in and my S was even higher, because I was so unsure of myself. So as I developed more confidence in the real estate space, it just looks different when I take the disc. Okay. So it's important to take it, because you need to know where you are, but then it's also important so that you can understand the other profiles so that we can quickly analyze, where a client, a potential referral partner, just anybody that you want to be in relationship with, it's important to analyze where they are so that you know how to mirror match them, so that we know how to speak their language. I'm just thinking back when I was teaching, if I had a student who was a high C, highly analytical, they needed all the details. Okay, Miss Lewis, what time are we going to get to the field trip? And when we go, are we supposed to have on our blue shirts? And with our blue shirts, is it okay if I wear the red pants? And will my mom be able to come? And when does she have to sign the permission slip? And when I get there, do I need lunch money? Like, you had kids like that. And now I understand that they weren't just trying to be nitpicky or difficult, but they were more analytical. Like, they needed all of the information in order to make them feel comfortable. And understanding that from that perspective allow me to be a better teacher, right? And the same thing with you. If you are working with a client who is different from you, understanding the way that someone with that profile thinks will not only help us not get our feelings hurt, right? Or it might even help us not to say the wrong thing in the wrong way, or to be able to present data in the way that they hear it, right? I need to have a price reduction conversation. The way I go about having that conversation will likely differ a little bit if I'm talking to someone who is a high D as opposed to someone who is a high S, right? Because remember, that D person, they just want the results. I need to just give them enough information so they can make a quick decision and we can keep it moving. Whereas that S person, I may have to come with just a little bit more, background knowledge. I may need to give them some time before we make any decisions because they don't like change. And I have to be a little bit more understanding of where they are and coaching them up to get to the next level. So this profile, y'all, is to me one of the biggest game changers that you could learn to help you in your real estate business. Again, go to the description box and you'll be able to, we will link to a free disc assessment that you can take. This is one of the ones that I like. But just remember, as soon as they show you your results, go ahead and screenshot it, because I think, it's free to get the test, but it's not free after that. You get your results and go to the next screen, you'll have to pay a membership if you want to get like something in detail. But this will just help you out as you are just on your journey of understanding how people are wired, because at the end of the day, y'all do understand we are in a people business. And the more that we understand just different levels to people, then the more that we can communicate and serve them better. So I hope this was helpful, besties. Go ahead and do me a favor. Go ahead and leave a review, a 5-star review. Share this episode with your real life real estate bestie, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode and you have a real life bestie that you think it would resonate with, y'all, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that share button, because you know what? We are better together. Make sure you share the podcast, and I appreciate your reviews. I appreciate you giving me 5 stars more than you know. I'll talk to you next week.